I drew these pictures when I was in Krabi, Thailand, and a couple of them in Ao Nong in Thailand. This is during the Loy Krathong festival last week, so early November 2022. And I wanted to finish these. There is a shop owner that I wanted to send some of these drawings to also. This woman named Jai, who owns a shop at, what's it called? Good Food, Good Taste at the Krabi Night Market. All these places were places I visited, and I just felt like drawing all of them. Right now I hear Planet Earth by Duran Duran on my iPod, which I got the battery fixed, or replaced finally. I had to wait a year. So I don't have to leave it on a charger or just not touch it for hours. Like normally it would die if the screen were active for more than 2 minutes, no matter what the charge was. The battery was just gone. And music matters to me a lot. Over here, Summer Sprossen by UKW. It's a Neue Deutsche Welle band. like having the sound of the rain in the background. It rained a lot in Thailand. Thailand was pretty cool. I'd like to go there again. Was there for 8 days. Took a flight from Phnom Penh to Bangkok, then was in Bangkok for a few hours and just explored a little bit. Wasted money on taxis. I just wasn't aware of like the awesome train network until my second time. Then took a flight to the Suvarnabhumi airport in southern Thailand, which is pretty close to Malaysia, close to Langkawi and all that. Spent several days in the town of Krabi, and then visited Dragon's Crest Peak. That's where this drawing takes place, Dragon's Crest Peak. There's a drawing down here that takes place at the Tiger Mountain Temple. This one is at the Krabi urban forest. And she's looking at the temple that she's at down here, which is what I did the next day. Now I hear Break by Play Dead. Play Dead is a goth rock, like independent goth rock band from the UK. I think they're from Oxford. They made 3 albums, and they're one of my favorite bands. They claim to not be goth rock, yet they sounded like goth rock. They were more inspired by the Stooges and Motorhead. At least I think that's right. But the sound they made was very goth rock. They did the first Flower in 1983, then From the Promised Land in 1984, and then Company of Justice in 1985, and then they called it quits in January of '86, unfortunately. Some of the members tried to do a new band called Beastmaster Generals after that, but they lost interest, and that was kind of the end of them. Unfortunately. I wish they'd stuck around, because I think they're one of the most underrated goth rock, post-punk, indie, whatever bands from the time period. part. Now you're Timing X by Devo. It's from the Duty Now for the Future album, which I first listened to that whole album all the way through back in like December of 2010. Can't believe that was like almost 12 years ago. That's the year I started my Sawaporn comics. Oh, now I hear the Running Man theme. Harold Faltermeyer. I've watched that movie like 1,000 times since I was a little kid, but the theme song always stuck out to me. It's pretty memorable. I didn't actually have a copy of the song until October 2005, though. So associated with that specific autumn. So in Thailand, in Krabi, I saw the Loy Krathong festival, and then I eventually went to Ao Nong and visited Phi Phi Island, Bamboo Island, Maya Beach, a bunch of other places. I did snorkeling for the first time in my life. I touched the ocean for the first time in my life. I'd never touched the ocean before. I'd always just seen it from airplanes. I never swam in it. I tried not to get it in my mouth, but inevitably it did. And the ocean tastes like fucking shit. I remember swimming above coral reefs and watching the fish drift below me, and some of the fish got curious and came up to me and were staring at me. Or one fish that seemed to have like glowing blue edges to its body. I was doing that 1 week ago, right now. And one day I managed to ride a plane, a train, a subway, a speedboat, a minivan, a bus, multiple taxis. Quite a busy time. Oh, now I hear the music from, oh yeah, it's Aliens, James Horner, Resolution Hyperspace. That song kind of sounds like the song that plays when, I forget the character's name, the Family Matters cop from Die Hard. You know, he was the dad in Family Matters. He was also the black judge in It's Always Sunny, the Trial of the Century episode, where Mac kept calling him the black judge. Like that was his name somehow. Thanks, Black Judge. It's just really weird. But there's a scene where the Family Matters dad has to shoot the final terrorist in the Nakatomi Tower. Hans Gruber is dead, but the blonde guy is still alive. He just comes out on the bottom floor and tries to shoot John McClane, but then I forget the character's name. Al? I don't know. Well, he shoots him, and then this music plays, and it sounds a lot like this music from Aliens. Trying to Grow a Chin by Frank Zappa. So that's like October 2011. Yeah. I was helping my friend Brian move out of his apartment on that day. It was his last day in my hometown in America before moving to Florida with his common-law wife. I met him and her at a Freethinkers meeting that I used to go to a long time ago before it got taken over by, like, conservative political weirdos, libertarian weirdos. Intervention by erosion of conformity. This is actually the same week that I heard the last song for the first time. So I was still helping my friend Brian move out of his apartment. It was a weird time in my life, because I went on a long hiatus from my college because they charged me for a class that I didn't take. And they wouldn't resolve the issue for some reason. I don't remember why. This was like 11 years ago. So I just put all my effort into my art, into my story writing and all that. I eventually went back to the school and finished my degree. I decided that I should do that before I ever go abroad. And today I got a message from one of the administrators from my old school. I worked at this school 3 years ago, and they somehow remembered me. I don't know why. They added me on Facebook today and asked if I'd be interested in teaching English to like kindergartners. I'm not sure what to think because I don't want to teach English anymore. And I've worked from home for the last 3 years, and it's nice not having to deal with HR people or being micromanaged, like being brought into some office and being told, we think you need to adjust this tiny insignificant thing that doesn't mean anything. Especially when the pay is only $1,000 a month. It's like, that's not really worth the stress. I did it before for less money, and it's not really worth the stress. If they have an art teaching position, then that'd be different, though. And later today, I'll send them a message asking if they have an art teaching position. I struggle to teach kids who are that young, especially when it's a group of them. Like, for some reason, the schools here will pack kids on top of each other in a classroom, like 29 kids in a classroom, which is like, it should be cut down by half. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, why would you have that many kids in one room with like one teacher, and most of them don't even speak the language that I speak? It's an English class, but it's really hard to control that many children in a hot classroom who are that age. When you are a teacher and you're not given any resources, I have yet to work at a school that would give me the appropriate resources. By that I mean just even the books. It's like they just expect me to pull a curriculum out of my ass. And this school in particular, I left on bad terms, but everyone that I hated got fired eventually, long after I left. One of them got caught stealing laptops. This HR guy who was a piece of shit named Pem Rachana. He was a creepy piece of shit. Like, he kept stalking the Chinese language teacher. Her name was Soon. She goes by the name Avantika. And she was pretty cool, but he would not leave her alone. Just like really creepy and disgusting, and clearly there's a power issue there, since he had the ability to fire her. So if she told him to fuck off, he could just fire her. So he just kept harassing her and messaging her in the middle of the night, asking her where she was. Are you at home? It's like, none of your business, you fucking freak. And she would show me his messages. Oh, now I hear Overcome by Live. Remember this song coming out, I think around October 2001? And supposedly part of the success of this song was because 9/11 had just happened. Which, maybe. I just had a flashback to that awful fucking World Trade Center movie with Nicolas Cage. It's like one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. It's like, why would you make that? Especially 5 years after 9/11. Like, are you shitting me? And it was somehow historically inaccurate. Like, somehow. It was only 5 years later. God, what an awful movie. Like, one of the worst fucking movies. Like, if that's one of those movies that's so bad that, like, if someone likes it, I'd be like, I wonder if there's something wrong with this person. It's that bad. Like, worse than The Room or Battlefield Earth. Like, at least those movies are funny and entertaining. Like, World Trade Center is just, like, so fucking sappy and trying so hard and failing. And the Nicolas Cage's accent in the movie is, like, atrocious. Here, Chalice escapes from Halloween 3, which might be my favorite Halloween movie. People give it shit just because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, and I always thought that was a really dumb reason to hate the movie. Like, it's one thing if you hate the story of the movie, but because it doesn't have Michael Myers, like, that's why you hate the movie? Like, that's so fucking stupid. Like, you sound like an idiot if you say that. I like 80s cheese, though, and I do like... I don't know, I like the style of the movie. It really feels like a John Carpenter film. He didn't direct it, but he was involved. And I think he did the score, also, and I think that movie had a really cool musical score. Also, the ending is pretty funny. Master and Servant by Depeche Mode. Okay. This is from the Some Great Reward album, which might be my favorite Depeche Mode album. It's from 1984. I remember finding the CD at Monster Pond in Bloomington, Illinois, in early October of 2006. And it's very nostalgic to me. In that time period, I was also in a relationship with my very first girlfriend. I was hanging out with my friends a lot. I was in college. I was in one of my favorite classes in college with one of my favorite teachers, a guy named David Marshall. Very relaxed, very cool, calm teacher who made all of his classes really fun. Part of it is because he was really casual about everything. But that actually kind of made you want to do the assignments. It's like very relaxed, no pressure. It's pretty cool. There was also when I was doing experiments with black and white photography. I've been doing that the whole year, but I was getting much better at it by fall 2006. Playing Dead Rising a lot also. And remember discovering the Elder Scrolls series, Oblivion, the end of October, like just a few days before Halloween. I'd never played an RPG before. That was my introduction to like all RPGs. I didn't know shit about the game. David Marshall, the teacher of my class in that semester, was talking about the game one day, and it piqued my interest. I wanted to check it out. So on Friday night, I think it was October 27th, my mom rented the game for the Xbox 360, and she got some Chinese food and from a place called Red Sun. And after dark, I remember putting the game in and wondering, what's this gonna be like? I've never played an RPG before. I hadn't even seen a screenshot of the game before. I just remember David Marshall describing it. It just sounded very intriguing. So I put the game in and I hear Patrick Stewart's voice. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I make the character, and I'm just like amazed at the customization of the character. I'd never seen a game with that level of detail in regards to customization before. Throughout that year, the games I had played, like we were in January 2006, playing Halo Combat Evolved with my brother Dane. That's for the it was on my other brother's Xbox 360, but the game was backwards compatible. I actually hadn't played that game before, and I played it with my brother Dane all day. Like I was visiting my dad's house. The college semester wasn't going to start for either of us, and our other brother AJ was in high school. I think his junior year, fall 2006. No. Wait a minute. No, this is his sophomore year because this was January 2006. Yeah, he started high school in fall 2004. So yeah, he was a sophomore. He was in school. Dane and I just sat there and played the game all the way through, and I had never played the game. Like, I only played multiplayer and the single player of Halo 2. My brothers loved it, and I got into it also. And the first game is very underrated, in my opinion. Underrated in a way where, like, the series gets a lot of acclaim, and I think it gets so much acclaim that it can turn people off. It's basically like a religion. Like, the way people worship the series, it's, like, really off-putting and annoying. But, that first game on its own is really, really cool. The level design, the colors, the music, the ambition of it. You know, they weren't they weren't trying to please fans. They wanted the product to be successful, but other than that, they were doing whatever they wanted. It's a brand new thing, and that just added to I don't know, the feel of the game. Like it just felt like spontaneous is the wrong word. I don't know, free. I can't quite put my finger on it. I remember having a good time doing the co-op though with my brother Dane. Now you hear The Calling by Gary Newman. You're hearing that in late October of 2013. I heard this song when I was in my second long-term relationship. But, so in 2006, the only games I had played were games like that, or horror games, or, see, I'd played Doom 3 the year before, and then I got my own copy of it when I got my, or like before I got my own 360. I never actually owned an Xbox console up to that point. The Xbox 360 is definitely one of my favorite consoles that I've ever had in my entire life, though. It was that, like, perfect age where everything was still customizable. The MySpace age. You can do whatever you want in your 360, basically. You can put all your music on it. You can play around with a background picture, make your own photos, put your own photos in there, photos of people you know, whatever. Just like MySpace. Like, everything was customizable. Everything was meant for you to adapt to your personality. It wasn't all just corporate. Everything looks the same like Facebook. And throughout 2006, the games I played were, well, that game, and Manhunt, and The Thing, Perfect Dark Zero. Played the shit out of all those games. Dead Rising was like the last game I got really into before I found Oblivion. So, like, Oblivion was a total shift away from everything. I just remember playing it and getting out of the sewer for the first time and seeing the overworld. It was like mid-afternoon, sunny. I think that the planet is Nern. Tamriel is the continent, and Cyrodiil is the country, I think. I just remember being really impressed the first time I ever saw the mountains in the distance and thinking, I want to climb those. Can I climb those? My teacher said you can do anything you want. I don't really want to play the main storyline. I just want to explore the world, and that's what I did. And I was very impressed. Like, the way the scenery kept changing. It was just so cool. Then I get to the area with the snow, and it was the perfect time of year for that also, because it was late October. Like, the cold was already here. I wish I had a recording of my feelings for some reason when I first played that game. Now we hear Check Your Mail by Burning Sensations, which is an LA punk band. Kind of more new wavy. The new wave side of like early 80s punk. Their most famous song is probably Belly of the Whale, which is an awesome song. That's something else I found in 2006 actually, was that song by Burning Sensations. But this song I didn't hear until like October or November of 2009. Scream by Armageddon Dildos, which is one of the funniest names for a band. I remember being on this mountain and I'd never seen anything like it, like way up there, and these like giant mountains in the distance that just looked like big rocks, just isolated rocks. It was a really strange feeling. And I was on this sheer cliff, just like, yeah, I could just, if I slip, I'm dead. There's no guardrail or anything. And no one would know, unless they heard my scream if I fell. The trees looked like grains of sand. That's how high up I was. Although I'm streaming on Twitch, I want to stream on YouTube eventually. I can't yet, though. I don't have enough subscribers to do that. I don't like a lot of the things that Twitch has been caught doing lately. I know there are a lot of creators out there who are trying to get to that pay threshold or whatever, that 70-30 thing, but now everyone's just going to get the 50-50 thing, which isn't really fair to the creators. And I don't think Twitch is like running out of money. I don't think they're about to lose everything. But you know who is about to lose everything is Elon Musk. That's been a lot of fun, watching that whole thing break down. What a clown. Clearly just in over his head, just like a baby. Like, why even get into this venture if you don't understand it? If I'm going to try something new, I'm going to try to understand it before I have skin in the game. Like, what the fuck? What a fool. I got so used to people like referring to him as like a genius, and how is he a genius? He's a marketing guy, and he had like a head start because of this emerald mine. He's not a self-made man. And he claims that the left has gotten more extreme somehow, like he's been asleep for the last 20 years. It's like, are you serious? Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and compare that to Ronald Reagan. Like, they're both pieces of shit, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is like basically the living version of like Mrs. Carmody from The Mist. Like, just like totally insane, disconnected, whack job. Whereas the left has just been trying to get the same things all this time, you know, better rights for workers, for example, you know, real health care, and not forcing us to pay for fucking health care, because health care is a human right. It's just a fact. Now I hear Bitch Theme by Bratmobile, the Peel Session version. I like the Peel Sessions a lot more. I mean, I think Potty Mouth by Bratmobile is their best album. I really like the songs on there. But the Peel Session versions of the songs are even more interesting. Same thing with like Napalm Death. Like, I like their first album, Scum, but like the Peel Sessions versions of the same songs from March of 1988 or 89, whenever, are just better. They're just more intense sounding. They're a little faster, a little tighter. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any of these drawings done before my classes. I teach English in about 2 hours. Now I hear Happiness, Dance Mix by Underworld by Front 242. So this is when Front 242 were less EBM and more like industrial trance dance music. Also, I associate Front 242 with Oblivion because that's when I got into them. I first heard of them in summer 2003. Heard like a clip of a live version of Headhunter. I downloaded the little MP3 from some website somewhere, like around July 2003. I thought, this is interesting. Then I found like a longer clip of the exact same show recording. It was still only a clip of the song though. It had more to it and I liked it a lot more. It was in higher quality also. And that was the last I heard of them until I found the back catalog CD, the original pressing, with that gold statue thing on the cover. Not the 92 repressing. I found that along with Dare by the Human League at a place called Mad Money Pawn, which was a pawn shop in Bloomington, Illinois that eventually closed up, unfortunately. And it was unfortunate because although the business didn't really know what it was doing, they still had like a great selection of new wave stuff. Every time I come in there, there's like new wave albums that I would never find anywhere else. Oh, it's a fly. This is just some dichreuts, conditioned. I think it's from their... What was that from? October file? Yeah. That might be my favorite dichreuts album. I think it has... Or is it Century Days? Number 3 and Among the Ruins I think are on their next album, but I think I like more content from the October File album more. And when I hear this album, it makes me think of September of 2013. That's when I first listened to it all the way through. But I would take my time with many of these albums. Like I would... Especially in the 2010s, when I would get albums, I'd listen to like one song a day and just absorb it. Now, Hollywood Forever by Father John Misty. Hollywood Forever Cemetery sings. Okay. Oh, Weird Al. Amish Paradise. remember hearing this song in autumn of 1996 when I was 11. My mom and I had just moved to Bloomington to get away from her stalker ex and for employment opportunities. Bloomington was also just a much bigger town. And there's this Weird Al special that kept being played on MTV. It was the same special over and over again. It was always 2 hours long, and I think Weird Al would play his version, then the original version after that. For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. I didn't really appreciate this song until it was in the movie Zombieland for some reason, like the intro. I had heard and I thought, yeah, it's a cool song, but for some reason it didn't really stick out to me until I saw it in that movie. And I don't really like that movie very much either. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the presentation or something. I mean, it's because I was just forced to just concentrate on the song and realize, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. There's a cool fan-made video of the song "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica on YouTube somewhere. It's like some Japanese movie. Some guy in like some sort of black mech suit. It kind of looks like that Wolf Brigade Korean movie, which I think was based on an anime. Maybe this Japanese movie was based on the anime also. But the video is definitely pretty cool. The fan-made video. It's too bad you can't get paid for making like fan-made videos like that, because it does take a lot of your own work. Now I hear Shame, Turn and Stare Mix by Clan of Zymox. Or Zemox. I don't know how it's pronounced. First heard this in November 2006. They're Ancient Stones by Jeremy Soule from Skyrim. So 5 years after Oblivion, I found Skyrim. I mean, I already knew Skyrim was coming. I was looking forward to it for a long time. I didn't get to get it until just before Christmas of 2011. I remember it blowing me away because my favorite time of the year is winter. I love the snow, I love the cold, I love the wind, the ice, I love all of that. I love the feeling of being cold outside and then you're just like, oh my god, I'm so fucking cold. And then you get inside and you warm up and like, I love that intense, strong feeling. I remember in the time period that Skyrim came out, it was like the warmest winter in the Midwest that I ever experienced my entire life. Like, it only snowed like a couple times. It was always above freezing, and it was just really disappointing. Like, winter just wasn't kicking off at all. I was waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it, and it just never happened. So Skyrim was like the perfect thing. Came at the perfect time for me. Because, I mean, obviously Skyrim is in this intense winter world, and so I got to at least experience some sort of real winter. Well, not real, but intense winter. It just felt like late October just and early March were just like this. like there was no November, December, January, February. Like it was just like mid-fall straight into like slushy early spring. That's how it felt. Now I hear Very Ape by Nirvana. My iPod here. From In Utero. I got this album in September of 1997. It was the fourth album, the fourth cassette tape I ever owned that wasn't a blank tape, that is. Like, I was more interested in Utero than Nevermind, so that's why In Utero was my first Nirvana album, back when I was 12. Like, I fell in love with Heart Shaped Box and Rape Me and All Apologies, and I really wanted to hear more, and I was not disappointed at all. Now I hear Maniac by Vicious Pink. I heard this song just before Halloween of 2010. It's a good Halloween-y type song also. Hubert Ka, The Picture by Hubert Ka. It's like September 2006 when I heard this. The song itself I think is from 1986, so 20-year difference. When I was 20 and 21, like everything I listened to was, well, almost everything I listened to was from the 80s. Like I really like the sounds, like a lot of the genres from the 80s, like synth pop and new wave and gothic rock. I like a lot of the metal stuff, also the thrash metal, early Sepultura, stuff like that. Slayer. And also, I think the 2000s were like the most boring time for like modern rock music. And I couldn't listen to the radio anymore by like the time I was 18. It was very rare that I would like tolerate it. It was so boring. But now, there are like new bands coming up, and none of them are like very, very successful in like the mainstream. I don't think, but there's a lot of good stuff out there now. Stuff like Drab Majesty, for example. I like The Soft Moon and Come Trues. I like Biba Doobie. Poppy. I like Poppy's album from 2020. Like, I think the 2000s were just like a slump. This Hubert Ka song is like okay. I just thought it was kind of cool, and I could kind of tell like maybe there's more stuff that's like better from this guy. I wouldn't hear another song by him until October 2008. It was the extended version of Military Drums, and that song is much cooler. It's like a really cool song. Then I heard like some 2005 mix a few years after that, in January 2010, listening to the 2005 version. Then I finally like checked out his albums in like December of 2013. Now I hear Hysteria by Def Leppard. It's another really old one in my life, that is. I remember my mom having this cassette tape and playing it all the time in her old Mazda car. When I hear this, I think of, like, fall of 1995. I associate this song and this album with, like, the early days of collecting Sonic the Hedgehog comic books. Like, specifically, issue number 29 of Sonic the Hedgehog, the American one. That's the one when Sally Acorn gets roboticized. In that same fall, I started drawing this terrible comic series called Dino Comics. It's like, I was 10, so it's pretty bad. The art wasn't very good either. I didn't start wanting to... I didn't realize that my art was shit until around May of 1996. And I really wanted to change it, so I just became hyper-fixated, hyper-focused on improving my artistic skill. And my art changed, like, every 2 weeks. Like, my style was completely different, more advanced. Like, improving. 88 Seconds in Greenboro by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. Mushroom Hill Act 2 from Sonic and Knuckles. That was like one of the first pieces of music that I would listen to a lot. It was like the Sonic the Hedgehog games for the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo games also, like Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario World, stuff like that. But I always liked the kind of weird chainsaw pop that the Sega Genesis made with that sound chip. Like everything just was super abrasive. No matter how dancey or poppy it was just so abrasive, crunchy, which made it sound really cool. So maybe it's why I like dancey stuff, but also really super abrasive stuff. You know, I like Land of Rape and Honey by Ministry as much as I like Twitch by Ministry. You know, with you can have like You Know What You Are by Ministry next to The Angel by Ministry. Completely different songs, completely different styles. Like one is super abrasive and in your face. The other one is very ethereal and soft. Maybe I get that from the Sega Genesis. Oh, the Swinging Erudites Commercial Message. That's the name of the song, Commercial Message. They're like some sort of comedy band from maybe Boston or New York from the late 80s. Here, Empty by Databank A. Shit. I need to charge my iPod and its new battery. is this? Tracking device. Okay. This is the song that plays during the end credits of Half-Life 2. Still one of my favorite games of all time. I wish they'd just put it on the PlayStation already. You know, they had the original Half-Life on the original PS2. Original PS2. Whatever. I wish they would remaster it and re-release it on modern Sony consoles. I wish they put all the Half-Life games onto modern Sony consoles. I Margini della Folia, alternate take 2 by Goblin from Dawn of the Dead. This is the version of the song that plays in the theatrical cut of the original Dawn of the Dead when they're flying over the shopping mall for the very first time before they land. In the director's extended version, whatever, that's much longer, they would have the other more bombastic, like, harder song playing instead of this atmospheric song. I remember the first version of Dawn of the Dead I saw was what's known as the director's cut, or the extended cut. It's the one that has Joe Pilato, the cop, and a lot of other scenes put back in. And that's my preferred version. That's my favorite version of the movie. That's the first version of the movie I ever saw also. And then I got the theatrical cut for Christmas 2004. And I wasn't sure what would be missing, and I watched it with my brothers, and I was surprised at the amount of content that was gone. And also, I was surprised that the music was different in many scenes. And I like the extended cut the most. Like, to me, that is the standard. The only thing that I would change about it, though, is I like it when the scientist is on TV talking about how everybody they kill will get up and kill. When he's saying those lines, and on the theatrical version, you hear this constant drum bass thing, like just like a droning, and it's kind of cool. They should have had that in the extended cut too. You know, that drum thing that sounds like a heartbeat. I got really into horror because I saw Day of the Dead on the Sci-Fi Channel back on July 31st of 2004. It like changed how I saw movies in a way. Like the super bleakness of it, the dirtiness of the movie. I just thought it was really cool. I was really impressed by it. Also, I like a lot of 80s synth scores, and I think that one is one of the most unique and interesting sounding. And it has that super strong bass percussion thing. Now I hear Etiquette of Travel by Databank A. But because of George Romero's Day of the Dead, I got really into horror culture and learning more about just that genre of movies. Like, I was always a movie person, but I was just learning about whatever movie I already liked. Like 12 Monkeys. I learned a shit ton about 12 Monkeys because I loved that movie. I mean, I still love that movie. That's probably my favorite time travel movie. 12 Monkeys also has a great soundtrack. And I like Terry Gilliam a lot. But when I saw Day of the Dead, I was more interested in learning about just the genre. You know, not just the one or this movie I'm really thinking about right now. I'm just learning about this movie. No, because of Day of the Dead, I was like really interested in just learning more about zombie movies and 80s horror and like who all these people were. Tom Savini, like Goblin, John Harrison, George Romero, Greg Nicotero, all these people, Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci, just horror from all over the world. And developed an interest in B movies, like a stronger interest. I always had a soft spot for monster movies. Unless it's like bottom of the barrel, sitting on the toilet, cheap, like just shit, like below the standards of the Sci-Fi Channel. Like if it's that kind, then it's like no, I'm gonna skip that. It's not even gonna be worth it. So because I saw that movie, I started renting tons of horror B movies from Heartland Community College. Mostly on VHS, but I had a VCR. I mean, I was a DVD person, but I was like, well, I want to watch all these like old movies, so I'll blow the dust off my VCR and whatever. You know, I had to rent a VHS copy of Dawn of the Dead. They didn't have that on DVD, and it just happened to be the extended cut. I remember the last person who watched it didn't rewind it all the way back. It was on the scene when Peter and Roger are in the bottom floor of JCPenney's, and Roger hasn't been bitten yet. They haven't blocked the mall yet. It's like Steven is still upstairs. He hasn't even begun to shoot at that security guard yet. They have a wheelbarrow, I think with like a little TV in it, and one of them was dragging it away from a window, and the camera was like sitting still. It wasn't a shot of them running around with the wheelbarrow. They're just in the store. The zombies are on the other side of the window. And that was my first shot of Dawn of the Dead I ever saw. Like I just put it in, and I was just curious, and that's where it was, and I rewound it, and I really had fun watching it. I loved it so much that I watched it again, and then again. A year later, I got the big box set of Dawn of the Dead, the 4-disc big black thing. It has the extended cut, which is my preferred version, then the theatrical cut, and then the Argento cut, and then another DVD disc with a bunch of special features. I don't know which one's my favorite though now. Day of the Dead was my favorite for a long time. Oh, I hear Front 242. Which song is this? This is Operating Tracks by Front 242 from that back catalog CD compilation that I found at Mad Money Pond back on October 13, 2006. This sketchbook is almost completely full. because of Day of the Dead, I started researching all this horror stuff and started learning. Like, there were a bunch of movies I'd seen in the past that I became more interested in seeing again and collecting, like Creepshow and stuff like that. I'd already seen that when I was a kid, along with its sequel, but I wanted to like collect all the horror movies I could. I wasn't really into the modern stuff though, but this is back in the mid-2000s. Modern horror was usually shit, like Resident Evil sequels, Saw sequels, fucking dumbass, unnecessary remakes of The Hitcher, and so many, just garbage. Wrong Turn. Alien vs. Predator, like shit like that. But, you know, like, or Doom, that was terrible. The one with The Rock in it, like, God, that's so fucking terrible. Like, one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen. Not as bad as World Trade Center, but, you know, really, really awful. I'd rather watch Doom than Pearl Harbor, though. Or Fireproof with Kirk Cameron. Ugh. But, like, God damn. Like, Doom is so bad. It's like, how old was the filmmaker? Like, were they, like, 12? And, like, high? Like, 12 and high? Like, both of those conditions? It's just so fucking bad. Like, impressively bad. Like, how do you make a movie that fucking bad? God damn. And they had so much potential, like, this game series, and they had a built-in audience already. Like, they were gonna make money. Like, they could have just tried. Instead of just being a piece of shit, they could have, like, made a real movie. At least Rosamund Pike is in it. I always thought she was kind of hot. And she's also a good actress. Although in that movie, she's, like, kind of hamming it up. And the actress even admits... She even admitted, like, years later, like, she wished she had researched the source material and tried to understand what Doom was about more. And she feels, like, ashamed, almost, for being in that movie. And Alien vs. Predator, like, it's terrible, but, like, it's not the worst. The first one, it's just... It's kind of like a guilty pleasure movie. Like, I acknowledge that it's bad, and I was laughing at it when I first saw it, when I was watching with my brother AJ back in August 2005. Like, we're sitting in his computer room, just him and I, like, alone in the house, and we were eating pizza, and that movie was on TV, on, like, HBO or whatever, just laughing hysterically how dumb it was. But it wasn't, like, the worst thing. Like, I think the movie has, like, positive traits also. I mean, for one, it's one of the only horror movies that, like, stars a black woman in the 2000s that isn't, like, generic, quote-unquote, urban horror or whatever, meant to fit into that pigeonhole. What am I hearing now? Oh, Submarine Dance by Signal A Out 42. Yeah. That's early November 2013 right there, when I first heard this song. And I kind of like... I kind of like it when the lady teams up with the Predator. I didn't have a problem with that. A lot of people complained about that. I thought, it kind of makes sense. Like, the Predator is like supposed to be like a teenager who's coming of age. You know, he's testing himself, his worthiness, like trying to get into adulthood. And she basically saved his ass, and he knows she's not a threat to him, and it makes sense. I mean, the Predators are meant to be, like, ruthless, like, hunters, but at the same time, they're not dumb. They're not supposed to be, at least. And the life form probably just realized, okay, I don't really need to kill this lady. She clearly is trying to communicate with me. I guess she's not really like an object to hunt. I don't mind if they're depicted as, like, ruthless monsters, though. I really liked the new Predator movie, Prey. I was like, damn, this is, like, the best one, almost. Like, I don't know, it's up there with the original. Like, holy shit, like, Predator 2 was just god-awful. Predators was okay. It was a step up. But then The Predator from 2018 was fucking trash. Just, like, what the fuck? Like, worse than Predator 2, worse than Alien vs. Predator, and it's on the same level of bad as Alien vs. Predator Requiem, as far as I'm concerned. Just really bad. I remember watching it and, like, my jaw kept dropping. Like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, someone made this. Someone paid for this to exist. A studio financed this. Like, holy shit, this is awful. How do you make it, like, this bad? The new Predator movie, though, like, when I started watching it, I was like, I had a feeling, like, I'm gonna love this. I just get a feeling that this is gonna pay off really well, and it did. And I loved all the French Canadians, like, all of them are racist pieces of shit and just being, like, annihilated. And, like, when they're all trying to capture the Predator, I thought that was pretty funny. It's like, wow, they're actual good sequels lately. Interesting. Oh, now I hear Performance by Tones on Tail. It's like December 2011 from the Return of the Banshee compilation. It also has Flower Pot Men and Trisomé 21. My favorite song by them is on that CD. Chris and Cozy. Horror has, like, really gotten better over the last, like, several years. Like, in the 2010s, it was no longer just, like, I don't know, like, leftover slasher shit or torture porn. Like, people were doing more interesting things in the 2010s. More original ideas, like It Follows and The Void. Train to Busan. It's an example of something outside of America. I really liked 10 Cloverfield Lane. Green Room is horror in a way. You know, Nazi punk horror. I really liked Barbarian. I watched that, like, a few days before I went to Thailand. I thought that was really cool. I also watched Smile, and Smile was cool, too. I mean, I liked Barbarian more. But they're both, like, fun movies. I watched one last night called Soft and Quiet. It's about basically these horrible white PTA women who are white supremacists. And when I was reading about it, I kind of had a feeling, I wonder if this is going to be about racism. And this is before any reviews. No one mentioned the swastika pie or anything like that. Not yet. Now that stuff is out there. But I kind of had a feeling that somehow this movie was going to deal with, like, racist shit. And I was right. I saw one review on IMDb though last night by this guy who was basically like a white supremacist. He kept saying like all the ideas, all the things that the racist white ladies are true. So maybe this is disguised as satire, but it's actually like trying to educate white people about how to be racist pieces of shit like me. It's like, oh god, one of you morons like believes in this shit. Okay, awesome, like, great. Thanks for contributing that to the human race, you fucking loser. Now I hear Communicator by Bush. From Razorblade Suitcase. This is another like early album that I got in my childhood when I was 12. I got this around November of 1997 on cassette tape. I listened to it all the fucking time, along with In Utero by Bush and some of the other tapes I had. Greedy Fly by Bush is one of my favorite songs by them. They get shit on a lot, like too much in my opinion. They get lumped in with post-grunge, but like, I don't know, I think when Bush released the first album, they were just grunge. If I remember correctly, that's what they were. They weren't classified as post-grunge. Grunge was still current. And a lot of people use post-grunge like in a negative way to like denigrate the bands, and some of the bands deserve that, like Creed. You know, just trash. But then the bands that are post-grunge that are not trash are Days of the New, for example. Days of the New was a very solid band. I used to associate Creed with Days of the New, though, not because of their style or voices. They sound completely different in every way. They're like different planets, basically. It's because of the timing. Like My Own Prison by Creed and Touch, Peel, and Stand by Days of the New aired on my local radio station for the first time in August 1997, like in the same day. So I always kind of like associated them a little bit. One makes you think of the other. Only because of that. And then 2 years later, in 1999, both bands released their sophomore albums around the same time. So once again, the new stuff by Days of the New came out along with new stuff by Creed. And by that point, 2 years later, I knew like I did not like Creed. Like I disliked them so much that I didn't even record them, and I had a low standard. Like I would listen to the radio and record music off of it, especially when I would listen to Hard Drive with Lou Brutus. Every Sunday night at 8:30 in the Illinois time zone. That was like the best way for me to get access to new music back in the late 90s and the year 2000. Unfortunately, the show disappeared in May 2000 from my local radio, and that really sucked. Like I was listening to that show for 2 years at that point, and Lou Brutus brought some very interesting, eclectic stuff to the radio during that show. Like he was like putting out new metal music, but also a lot of new other rock bands like Vast and Econoline Crush, bands that were like alternative rock meets industrial rock, not metal though. And I wish whatever that was becoming could have become fully realized. Like I feel like a genre was about to pop out, but then nu metal was kind of shoved down everyone's throats. And I don't hate all of nu metal. I don't view nu metal as like a total dirty word. Like, this good nu metal, just not really a lot. But the market shifted. The tastemakers decided nu metal is what you're supposed to like now. This is what you're gonna listen to. Fuck this other thing that might blossom up. Like, we're just gonna cancel that. And now you're all going to listen to Stained. Now what am I hearing? Oh. Ein Tans mit dem Tod by Grauzone. It's German. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So I'm going to stop this stream in about 20 minutes. Check to see if I have a class at 5:30. I definitely have a class at 6. It's 5:01 p.m. here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. It's weird to think that 1 week ago I was like on a speedboat, like being driven between multiple tropical islands in Thailand. And I had a flight to catch that night back to Bangkok. Man, I really hate going through Bangkok TSA. Like, it sucks. But yeah, Hard Drive of Lou Brutus was my lifeline to like lots of new music. And then when I-97 stopped playing it, for whatever reason, that was really shitty. And I still listen to the radio a lot, but I did feel like there was like a void on the radio now because of that. Well, now, I mean, you know, back when I was 15. Now what am I hearing? Moby, Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad? Oh yeah, I heard Moby was a creep towards Natalie Portman. I'm kind of curious about that. I should look that up later. I don't normally care about celebrity gossip until it involves like sexual harassment and creepiness. When someone wants to be a Harvey Weinstein, I think that stuff is interesting to learn about. Not in a funny way, but just so I know, like, oh, that guy's a piece of shit. Well, that sucks. Cause I like some of Moby's music. So if he's like a piece of shit, stalker, creepy weirdo, he's part of like the weird cult of guys who sexually objectified Natalie Portman of all people, then God, I don't even know how to finish that. It's like creepy, especially since she was like a child actress, and I don't know, there are people who say weird shit about her when she was in that movie The Professional, which is a good movie, and I don't think the way she's depicted is problematic, though I can see why in the greater context. The discussion around like older men getting with really young girls, like, that's creepy. But I think like in regards to that story, I think it makes sense, like the way your character is. But I know there are people who like were aroused by her for some reason. This kid, and that is really creepy to me. I don't know why you would be attracted to a 12-year-old Natalie Portman. That's like so fucking creepy. Unless you are a 12-year-old. Then it makes sense. Like, she's your age. But like for a grown man or a woman to be like turned on by a 12-year-old Natalie Portman or whatever, like I've met people who have said weird shit. And it's just like I don't get it, and I don't think that's cool. But it's a good movie. But anyway, for Moby, I don't even remember where my mind was. Let's talk about horror movies earlier. Sometimes when I do these streams, I feel like talking and rambling about my own interests since I'm in here alone. Sometimes talking distracts me from what I'm doing, and sometimes it does not. I don't know why. I guess it has to come out naturally, and listening to music makes me more talkative, I guess. Because probably because it makes me feel relaxed. And fuck any adult man or woman who wants to date a 12-year-old girl or boy. Like, fuck them. I watch some pedophile hunter videos sometimes on YouTube. I haven't watched any in a long time though. Like, Justin Payne was like kind of the pioneer of that stuff, and then there's the Creeper Hunter TV. I think that guy's name was it Jesse or something? He had a goatee. He had a very theatrical voice. Like that guy from Creeper Hunter TV could like do commercials or voiceovers or something. He's got the voice for it. And Pop Squad also. I never liked predator poachers though. That was even before I discovered, or that was before the EDP 445 situation blew up. Like I remember discovering that channel in 2020 and thinking, this is shit. Like this host, this Chet guy or Alex Goldstein, whatever his fucking name is, this guy's a piece of shit. He keeps making like racist jokes and like during the bus and just saying dumb shit. There was one where he caught some Latino guy at a Walmart, I think, and Chet Goldstein or Alex Goldstein, whatever his fucking name is, kept making weird jokes at him, racist jokes, like that he was a border jumper and all this shit. I'm just like, what the hell is that? Like, he's already like a pedophile. Like, why are you attacking him like in this racist way? Like you could just attack him for the terrible thing that he wanted to do. Like, why don't you just stick to that? Like, why are you attacking him for this thing that has nothing to do with his actions? Like, you fucking moron. So I just turned it right the fuck off. And then months later, he kills his own momentum and career with the EDP 445 thing, and killed EDP's career also. Like, two pieces of shit slammed into each other and made a huge, nasty mess. And destroyed each other. That was one of the most interesting sagas on YouTube though. Like when he would try to come back, EDP 445. It's like, I'm making my own website. Like, yeah, whoever's gonna pay for a subscription to like this pedophile's website, like. He might as well just double down and become like a pedophilia advocate, and that's like the only group of people who would like listen to anything he has to say. Like the NAMBLA type people. You know, I'm sure you can find one of those groups on Twitter. I don't know if, like, constantly berating EDP 445 in real life is, like, gonna fix anything or make him reform or whatever, but talking shit about him is okay. Like, I'm a stranger alone right here, like, I can say whatever I want. Like, there's a discussion that, people should leave him alone and let him find some menial job somewhere where the public can forget about him. And then people say that he's dangerous. He's already demonstrated it. I don't know if, like, harassing him publicly does anything good. And I'm not talking about exposing him originally. I'm talking about, like, months and months later. I don't know if that's the right thing, or maybe it is. I'm not criticizing anyone who does, like, bother him. I don't know if that, like, will make him feel remorse, though. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't really give much of a shit about his feelings, though. You know, there are other people I should give a shit about. I saw this movie a few months ago called Low Life, and the movie was about a pedophile hunter who posts videos onto YouTube. Except the movie, like, kinda had this, like, I don't know, it was trying to make everyone look like the bad guy. And except the real bad guys were the pedophiles. Like, one of them is also just a murderer who starts killing the pedophile hunter's friends and then frames the pedophile hunter for the murders successfully, and that's how the movie ends. I'm just like, I don't know what the point of this movie was, but it's kind of sloppy and left a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't like it. Like, oh good, another movie where the pedophile gets away with being a pedophile. There are a lot of those movies. I go to YTS and they post 20 movies a day. Could be new movies, old movies from the 1920s, a lot of foreign films. I've seen movies that deal with this subject from all over the world, and some of them are just thrillers, like Let's Get Vengeance. But then some of them, an alarming amount of them, have like this strange, ambiguous ending. Or, like, maybe the pedophile gets away with it, or, like, one person figured out that this thing is happening and they believe the victim, but then the pedophile rapes someone else and it just ends with them attacking someone else with no punishment. I've seen a couple movies like that. More than a couple, actually. More than two. One of them was Swedish, one was German. There's an American one. I think the best movie I saw that deals with that kind of subject, though, was The Woodsman with Kevin Bacon. Because Kevin Bacon plays the character so well, like, he's just so fucking creepy and convincing. But it was about Kevin Bacon, who is a convicted pedophile in the movie, his character. And he just regrets it because he was caught. And he learns throughout the movie that there are more reasons that he should regret what he did than just being caught and going to jail for 12 years. Like, like, there's a moment in the movie where it, like, clicks in his head where he realizes that he's hurting these little girls, that just because he's not smacking them doesn't mean he's still not causing them emotional stress, and he's, like, all of a sudden sees them as human beings. I'm like, wow, that was a good moment, and he plays it so well. It's like, holy shit. Like, this movie's about a pedophile who realizes that kids are people too, and you shouldn't rape them. See, I'm going to turn this off in 6 minutes. When I finish all these drawings, I'll scan this whole page and I'll send some of these to that restaurant owner in Krabi who I met named Jai. She was like middle-aged, and she has a daughter in Australia who's learning graphic design. And the restaurant food was really good. Had a good atmosphere. Overall, like, the street restaurants in Thailand were just better than in Cambodia. And cheaper also. Like a fried rice meal here in Phnom Penh for a cheap street restaurant would be like $2, but in Thailand it's $1.34 on average. And it tastes better. There are good places here in Cambodia, of course. But on average, like, the average street restaurant tastes better and is cheaper in Thailand, particularly Krabi. One thing that was fun in Bangkok was learning the transit system. And I'm being serious, like, it was really cool just riding the train around, because it's a sky train. And you see all of Bangkok from the windows of the SkyTrain. It was... And I took the train for the first time in the morning, my first morning there, when I was actually staying in Bangkok, and it was just, like, amazing to see the whole city from the train, like, just driving through downtown. It's like, wow, holy shit, like, this is awesome, like, this is a fantastic way to do a tour. And I took the train from the Lat Krabong area to MBK Center, got my iPod battery replaced, checked out the stores, didn't really buy anything except for that battery for my iPod. Then I visited my friend Sue, like, we hung out, we went to Chinatown and tried a shit ton of food. I tried clams for the first time. I didn't really like them, but I was happy to try them. We also went to this, like, really good sweet bun street restaurant that had a huge long line. It was super popular, like, a lot of people were there. And their buns are really good. Like, I had a chocolate one, full of liquid chocolate, and Sue had one that was vanilla. And then I had to race the clock to get to the train on time, because I realized that the trains were going to stop at midnight. So I caught the Hua Lamphong train to Lat Krabong, and even though I was rushing, it was still a lot of fun. Now I hear Controversy Between by Front 242. This is from that back catalog compilation again. Actually, yeah, a minute from now is a good time to get off this anyway, because I all of a sudden have to use the bathroom. It's like my body knew that I was going to get off right now. Get off the stream, that is. So this is Dragon's Crest. This is this is Tiger Temple Mountain, Krabi Urban Forest. I'll draw some background of Krabi here and a background of Ao Nong there, and then up here is just a random comic that has nothing to do with Thailand. Alright, well, that's it for now. Damn it. I can't aim this because I can't see the screen. Okay. I'll end it right there, and I'll do this later. Have a good night.